The Valari world once shined like a jewel among the stars. It was a place of silver forests, soft crystal seas, and tall towers filled with music and light. The Valari were not warriors, nor were they empire builders. They were a gentle race, known across the galaxy for art, for harmony, and for raising families in peace. But peace never lasts in a galaxy filled with stronger, hungrier powers. War came to the Valari world with fire. Their skies were split by burning ships, their cities turned to ash. Their men and women who could fight did so, but they were no soldiers. They had never built war fleets, never crafted weapons beyond simple defenses. The war consumed them, and so when the fighting ended, little remained of the Valari. Only ruins, only broken families. Among the ruins walked Lyra, a widow. Her skin was pale silver, her hair long and dark, like the night oceans her people once sailed. Her eyes were deep and heavy with grief. She carried two small children close to her, wrapping them in thin cloth as the winds blew dust through the cracked streets. Her mate was gone, killed in the first wave of attacks. Her parents gone, her brothers, her sisters, gone. What remained of her kind had scattered into the stars, fleeing in broken ships or hiding in caves far from the old cities, but Lyra had nowhere to go. Her ship had been destroyed. She walked each day through the ruins, searching for scraps of food, shielding her children from scavengers who prowled the fallen world. At night, when the children slept, she sat beneath the shattered towers and whispered to the stars, "Someone, hear me." She did not know if anyone would, but her people had once built transmitters, great beacons that sent music across the stars. One of these lay half destroyed in the ruins. Lyra, with trembling hands, repaired what she could, enough for a weak signal. And then she sent her message. Her voice shook as she spoke into the broken beacon, tears falling onto the cracked panel. "This is Lyra of the Valari. I have lost everything. My mate is gone. My people are gone. Only my children remain, and they have no future here, please. If there is kindness anywhere among the stars, hear me. Adopt my children. Give them safety. Give them love. End my loneliness. I beg you. Someone. Please." Her words echoed into the void. The beacon flickered, sent the signal outward, then fell silent. Lyra pressed her head against her knees and wept quietly. She did not know if the message reached anyone. She did not know if anyone cared. For days she waited, sitting by the beacon when her children slept, hoping for an answer, but there was none. The galaxy was vast. Why would anyone hear? Why would anyone come? The children grew weaker. Food was hard to find. Lyra sang to them softly, old Valari lullabies, though her voice cracked with hunger. She began to think her message had only been carried into emptiness. But far away on a blue and green world called Earth, her voice was heard. In Earth's orbit, the human exploratory ship Resolute drifted among the stars, its crew scanning strange signals and mapping new systems. Most of their work was routine, filled with silence and technical reports. Then, one evening shift, a signal came through. The communications officer frowned at the strange sound. The voice was soft, trembling, filled with words of pain and hope. It was Lyra's message. He replayed it for the captain. "Adopt my children, end my loneliness, please someone." The crew fell silent. Captain Elias Ward stood at the center of the command deck. He was a tall man, his face marked by years of service and hard choices. He had fought in wars, had seen colonies burn, had seen families torn apart. He listened to the alien widow's plea without moving, his eyes dark and unreadable. When the message ended, some of the officers spoke. "It could be a trap, Captain. Pirates sometimes use false signals. She could be exaggerating. It's not our mission to pick up strays. We don't even know what species she is." But Elias raised a hand, stopping them. He played the message again, listening closely. The voice carried pain, but also something deeper, a desperate hope, fragile but unbroken. "No one fakes that," Elias said quietly. No pirate speaks like that. This is real. The crew shifted uneasily. They knew their captain's reputation. He was not a man who ignored suffering. "She is asking for adoption, Captain," one officer said. "She's asking for family. That is unusual. Most refugees ask for food or passage. She asks for love." Elias turned toward the stars on the display. "Because she has lost everything, and she knows her children cannot survive alone. She is giving them up so they may live. That takes courage." "Sir, the risk is letting a plea like that go unanswered," Elias interrupted. "Plot a course. We're going to her." Days later, the Resolute arrived at the Valari system. From orbit, the planet looked broken. Cities lay in ruins, black scars across silver plains. Fires still smoldered in some places. The crew scanned the surface. They found faint life signs scattered across the world. Among them, the beacon pulsed weakly. "There," Elias said. "Bring us down." The ship descended through the gray clouds, engines stirring dust across shattered streets. Lyra looked up from the ruins, clutching her children as a great shadow fell over her. Her heart raced with fear. Had scavengers returned? Another enemy fleet? But when the ship's ramp lowered, figures stepped out. Tall, broad, covered in strange armor. Humans. Lyra trembled. She had heard whispers of this species. Deathworlders, they were called. Beings from a savage planet who fought wars without end. Dangerous, frightening, feared by many. But when one of them removed his helmet, she saw not a monster, but a man with tired eyes, strong and steady, filled not with cruelty, but with something else. He walked toward her slowly, careful not to startle her or the children. Lyra dropped to her knees, her voice breaking. "Please, I beg you, adopt my children. End my loneliness. Don't let them die here." The human captain knelt before her, his large hands open and empty to show peace. "You're not alone anymore," Elias said softly. "Not while we are here." For the first time in months, Lyra felt warmth break through the cold weight of despair. She pulled her children close, tears falling freely. The wind carried dust through the broken streets of the Valari capital. What had once been towers of light were now black skeletons against the gray sky. In the center of those ruins, Lyra held her children close, watching the strange visitors from Earth. The humans had come down from the great metal ship that roared like thunder. Their boots crunched over the cracked stones. They looked huge, like giants compared to the slender Valari. Lyra's children clung to her arms, their small faces pale with fear. The human captain, Elias Ward, knelt before them. His armor caught the weak sunlight, but his face was bare and calm. He did not speak loudly. His voice was steady, low, like someone talking to frightened animals. "You are safe," Elias said. "No one will harm you now." Lyra searched his eyes. They were sharp and full of weight, but behind them she saw something she had not seen in months. Kindness. Still, she trembled. She had heard stories of these humans, how they came from a world of storms, how they fought endless wars. They were called Deathworlders for a reason, yet here he was, gentle in front of her children. "I am Lyra," she whispered. Her voice, cracked from hunger and exhaustion. "These are my children, Kale and Mirren." The little boy, Kale, pressed his face into his mother's shoulder. The younger girl, Myron, peeked out with wide eyes, staring at the strange humans. Elias placed a hand over his chest in greeting. "I am Captain Elias Ward of the human ship Resolute. We heard your message. We came for you." Lyra's lips trembled. No one else answered. The captain's expression hardened. "Then the others are fools." Behind him, his crew shifted. Some carried supplies, others scanned the area for danger. But Elias kept his attention on her. "You asked for someone to take in your children," he said. "To give them a home." Lyra lowered her head. Shame burned in her chest, though she knew it was the truth. "I cannot protect them anymore. They will die here. I would rather give them away than watch them starve. Her voice broke. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Elias did not flinch. He reached out slowly, carefully, and touched her shoulder. His hand was heavy but steady. You are stronger than you think, he said. You kept them alive when all else was lost. That is no small thing. But you are not alone anymore. We will help you. Lyra looked up, confused. Help? Me? Yes. You and your children, Elias said. Not just adoption. Family is not given away like broken tools. Family is shared. If you want it, we can bring you all aboard. You can rest. You can eat. You will not be left behind. The words felt unreal, like a dream she dared not believe. Why? She whispered. Why would humans care? Elias's gaze grew distant for a moment. Because we know loss too. On Earth we learn to fight for family or lose everything. We will not walk away from someone who still fights to protect her children. The silence stretched. The only sound was the wind. Then Lyra bowed her head, clutching her children close. I accept, she whispered. The humans guided her and the children toward the waiting ship. The ramp hummed beneath their feet. Inside, the air was warmer, filled with light that made Lyra squint. Her children cried softly, hiding their faces, but the humans kept their distance, moving slowly, careful not to scare them. One of the crew, a woman with gentle eyes, crouched down and offered a packet of food. Here, she said softly. It's safe. You can eat. The children hesitated until Lyra nodded. Then Kyle reached out and took the packet with trembling hands. When he tasted it, his eyes widened. Myron quickly followed, chewing with desperate hunger. Lyra felt tears again, but this time they were different. For the first time in so long, her children were eating food without fear. The humans led them deeper into the ship. The walls glowed, softly, the floor smooth beneath their feet. It was like walking into a different world. The crew watched them with quiet curiosity, whispering among themselves, but no one was unkind. Finally, Elias led them to a small cabin with 2 beds, blankets, and soft lights. This will be yours, he said. Lyra stared at the beds. Her children touched the blankets with awe, as if they were treasures. For months they had slept on cold stone floors. Now here was softness, warmth, safety. Her knees weakened, and she had to grip the wall to steady herself. Elias noticed. You need rest, he said. Food and water first, then sleep. We'll take care of everything else. Lyra whispered, I do not know how to thank you. You don't need to, Elias said. Just stay alive. That's thanks enough. Later, in the command deck, the crew gathered around their captain. Sir, one officer said, bringing refugees aboard is against standard protocol. We were supposed to chart this sector, not take on passengers. Another added, we don't even know how long we can supply them. It could become a burden. Elias leaned against the railing, watching the stars pass outside the viewport. If you want to call protecting a widow and 2 starving children a burden, then maybe you're on the wrong ship. The room went quiet. The captain's voice was steady but hard as steel. We are human. That means something. We don't turn away when others suffer, not when we can help. No one argued further. Back in the cabin, Lyra sat on the edge of the bed watching her children sleep. Their small faces looked peaceful for the first time in months. They clutched the blankets as if afraid they might vanish. Lyra touched their hair, her chest tight with emotion. Then she looked around the strange room, the smooth walls, the glowing panels, the quiet hum of the ship. Her heart ached. She had never meant to come this far, never meant to leave her home. But there was no home left, only ruins. And here, among these strange humans, she felt something she had thought lost forever. Hope. She whispered to the dark. Maybe the stars did hear me after all. But outside, danger was moving. In the far reaches of the Valari system, scavenger ships prowled. These were not warriors of honor, but vultures of war, pirates who came after battles to pick apart what remained. They hunted survivors, sold them into slavery, or stripped their bodies for what little wealth could be taken. Their sensors picked up the Resolute. A scavenger captain grinned at the reading. Humans. What are they doing here? Doesn't matter. A ship like that could fetch us good spoils. He gave the order. Engines roared. The scavenger fleet began moving toward the ruined planet. Back aboard the Resolute, the humans had not yet detected the threat. For now the ship was quiet, carrying its small cargo of grief and new hope. Lyra slept lightly, holding her children close. She did not know that danger was already on its way, but she did know this. For the first time since the war had taken her mate, she did not feel completely alone, because the humans had answered when no one else would. The Resolute sailed through the upper layers of the Volari sky, its engines humming like a steady heartbeat. Inside its metal walls, the air smelled clean, the lights were warm, and for the first time in months, Lyra and her children felt safe. But safety was not the same as trust. Lyra sat quietly on the edge of the cabin bed, her long fingers curled around the blanket. Her children, Kyle and Miran, played on the floor with simple tools the crew had given them. The humans had called them puzzle blocks. To the children, they were treasures. Kyle tried to fit 2 pieces together. When they snapped into place, he gasped with joy. Miran laughed, clapping her small hands. Their voices filled the cabin, soft but alive. Lyra closed her eyes. It had been so long since she had heard them laugh, yet a shadow lingered in her chest. She remembered the warnings her people had whispered before the war, that humans were dangerous, unpredictable, born of a death world that bred killers. They were said to fight even among themselves, to burn worlds when angered, and now she had placed her children in their hands. The door hissed open. Captain Elias Ward stepped inside. His presence filled the small room, tall and broad, his steps heavy but measured. He carried a tray of food packs. "Mealtime," he said softly. The children froze. Kyle pulled Myron close, hiding behind her, their eyes fixed on the human captain as if he were a storm about to strike. Elias crouched low, placing the tray on the floor. He didn't move closer. Instead, he opened one pack, showing the soft bread inside. "It's just food," he said. "See? Nothing to fear." He tore a piece and ate it himself. Then he placed another piece on the floor and slid it toward the children. Kale stared at it. His stomach growled, but he didn't move. Miran whispered, "Mama." Lyra touched their shoulders gently. "It's safe," she said. She looked at Elias. "You don't need to kneel like that. You are the captain of a ship." Elias gave a faint smile. "Doesn't matter. Right now I'm just a man bringing food to children." Slowly, Kale reached out, took the bread, and nibbled. His eyes widened at the taste. Miran quickly grabbed her share. Soon the 2 of them were eating happily, crumbs falling across the floor. Lyra felt her chest loosen a little. She looked at Elias and whispered, "Thank you." He nodded once. Children should never go hungry. Later, Elias invited Lyra to walk the ship with him. The children stayed in the care of a gentle medic named Dr. Sarah, who had promised to watch them closely. The halls of the Resolute were bright, lined with panels that glowed softly. Human crew members moved quickly, working at consoles, carrying equipment, speaking in low voices. Some glanced at Lyra with curiosity, but no one stared too long. Elias walked beside her, his pace slow so she could keep up. "You built all this?" Lyra asked quietly. "Humans did," Elias answered. "Our ships are not the largest in the galaxy, but they are strong. They can cross the void, fight storms, even survive battles if needed." Lyra frowned. Why fight so much? Why build for war? Elias's expression darkened. Because we had no choice. Earth is a hard world. We fought nature, we fought disease, and sometimes we fought each other. If we hadn't learned to survive, we would not be here. Lyra lowered her gaze. My people never fought. We created songs, art, gardens. But when war came, we had nothing to defend ourselves. That doesn't mean you were weak, Elias said. It means you were different. You chose peace. That takes courage, too. She looked at him with surprise. No other species she had met, or heard about, had ever spoken with such respect for the Valari way. Most only mocked them for their gentleness. That evening in the mess hall, the crew invited Lyra and her children to join. Long tables were filled with humans eating and talking. Lyra hesitated at the entrance, her children clutching her hands. The room went quiet for a moment. When they entered, dozens of eyes turned toward them. Mirren whimpered, hiding her face. Kyle squeezed his mother's hand tightly. Then one of the younger crew members smiled and waved. "Come sit with us. We don't bite." A few chuckled. The tension broke. The humans returned to their meals, giving space but offering friendly nods. Elias guided them to a table. The children were given warm soup. At first they sipped nervously, but soon hunger won and they ate eagerly. The crew watched with soft smiles. Some even offered small gifts. An old carved wooden toy, a scarf, a simple drawing on a scrap of paper. By the end of the meal, Kyle was laughing again, showing his puzzle block to a curious young officer. Myron curled up on Sarah's lap, drowsy but safe. Lyra sat quietly, her eyes wet. She had not believed it possible, that her children could be happy again, even for a moment. But trust was not built in a single day. That night, Lyra dreamed of fire. She dreamed of the night her mate died, when the sky burned red and their home collapsed around them. She woke with a cry, clutching her children. The cabin door slid open instantly. Elias stood there, alert, his hand near the weapon at his side. "Are you hurt?" he asked. Lyra shook her head, trembling. "A dream, just a dream." Elias looked at the children who were stirring awake. Then he stepped inside, lowering his voice. "Dreams can hurt too." She stared at him. "Why are you so kind? You are human. You should not care for us." He frowned. "And why not?" "Because the others never did. The council ignored our pleas. The scavengers only hunt us. To them, we are weak, worthless." Elias's eyes hardened. "Not to us." She felt tears sting her eyes again. She wanted to believe him. But deep down, fear still whispered. What if humans changed their minds? What if they too abandoned her? While Lyra fought her doubts, trouble was moving closer. Out in the dark of space, the scavenger fleet crept nearer. Their ships were ugly, patched together from stolen parts, engines glowing red like hungry eyes. They had locked onto the Resolute's trail. Inside the scavenger command ship, Captain Vore bared his jagged teeth. "Humans have taken survivors," he growled. "Valari are valuable. They fetch high prices in the slave markets. And humans," he licked his lips, "humans bleed, like anyone else." The scavenger fleet prepared to strike. Back aboard the Resolute, Elias gathered his senior crew in the command deck. The scans showed faint signals at the edge of the system. "Scavengers," Elias said grimly. The officers nodded. Everyone knew the kind of monsters they were. "They'll come for us," the tactical officer said. Elias looked at the stars beyond the viewport. His jaw tightened. "Let them come. We won't let them take a single child." Meanwhile, Lyra sat with her, children in their cabin. Kyle leaned against her side, half asleep. Myron played with her toy quietly. Lyra's mind was restless. She thought of her plea, of the humans who answered, of the kindness they had shown. She thought of Elias, the man who had knelt in the ruins, who spoke with respect instead of pity. Slowly, the wall of fear in her chest began to crack. She touched her children's hair and whispered, "Maybe we can trust them." But far beyond the walls of the ship, danger was closing fast. The stars were silent, but the scanners aboard the Resolute hummed with warnings. Captain Elias Ward stood at the command deck, eyes sharp as he read the incoming signals. The scavenger fleet was close. More ships than he had anticipated. Fast, deadly, and hungry for anything alive. "Tactical," Elias said, his voice steady. "Ready all defensive systems. Shields at maximum. Weapons primed." We do not leave a single child unprotected. The tactical officer, a young woman named Jaina, nodded. Yes, Captain. Scanners show 6 ships closing fast. They'll strike in minutes. Below, in the cabin, Lyra slept uneasily. Kale and Myron curled against her. Dreams of fire haunted her again. But now she felt something different. A strange, steady pulse of confidence, of protection she had not felt before. Elias had promised safety. And humans never broke a promise. The first blast hit without warning. The Resolute shook violently as the scavenger fleet struck. Red flashes illuminated the viewport as energy weapons slammed into the shields. The cabin rattled and Lyra woke with a scream. Kyle clung to her, eyes wide with terror. Myron whimpered. Elias barked over the intercom. All civilians to safe zones. Crew, return fire. Do not let them board. Not now. Not ever. The ship shuddered again. The scavengers' vessels were fast, darting through space with jagged designs, firing relentlessly. Their reputation as cruel hunters was not exaggerated, yet the Resolute held. Humans were skilled in warfare honed over centuries of brutal history. They fought not just with technology, but with strategy, with instinct, and with terrifying courage. From Q, the command deck, Elias gave orders. Turrets fire on Vector 3. Shields adjust to energy wave, tactical guide fighters to intercept. The human crew moved with precision. Every motion, every command worked as one. The scavenger fleet had expected easy prey, vulnerable Volari to enslave. But the humans were not prey. In the cabin, Lyra clutched her children as the ship rocked violently. Sparks flew across the ceiling as alarms screamed. She felt frozen, unable to move. Then a calm, commanding voice came through the intercom. This is Captain Ward. You are safe. Stay in place. Humans are here to protect you. Something in her chest loosened. Perhaps it was foolish, perhaps it was hope. But she believed him. Her children peeked out, eyes wide. Kyle whispered, Mama, they are scary. Lyra hugged him. I know, my little one, but they are on our side. The fight continued above the planet's surface. Human fighters launched from the Resolute, sleek ships with precise firepower. The scavengers were fast, but humans were faster. Elias watched the battle unfold, his mind sharp. Every move counted, every second mattered. He knew the scavengers would not leave without attempting a boarding action. He could not allow it. Not for Lyra. Not for her children. One scavenger ship tried to ram the Resolute. The human crew anticipated it. With a roar of engines and a precise blast from the ship's plasma cannons, the attacker was disabled, spinning out into space. Another approached from behind. Elias's hands flew across the console. Vector correction. Fire all forward turrets. The blasts tore into the scavenger vessel. It shuddered, flames erupting along its hull, then drifted lifeless into the void. Below deck, Lyra could hear the distant sounds of battle. Explosions shook the walls, the lights flickered. And yet she felt something she had not felt in months. Safety. Humans were not running. Humans were holding the line. Her hand rested on Kale's head. See? They are protecting us, she whispered. Myron nestled against her side. They are strong. Stronger than anything I have seen. Hours passed. Like this, chaos surrounding them, yet the humans did not falter. Elias barked commands, coordinated attacks, and encouraged his crew. Every action was precise. Every human focused on one goal: protect the innocent. And slowly, the scavengers realized something terrifying. They had underestimated humans. The scavenger captain, Vor, glared at his screens. Why are they fighting like this? We are supposed to overwhelm them. His crew hesitated, nerves trembling. They were not ready for this. Humans did not fight for gain or glory. Humans fought for something stronger: family, loyalty, and a promise they never broke. Vor's fury grew, but his fear grew faster. Each vessel he lost, each attack deflected, made the humans more dangerous. On the command deck, Elias's eyes burned. He did not strike for revenge. He did not strike for conquest. He struck to protect. Each blast from his ship's cannons was aimed with surgical precision, only at attackers, never at the planet below, never at the refugees he had sworn to keep safe. Hours passed, and the tide began to turn. The scavenger fleet, battered and confused, retreated. The Resolute remained standing, strong, unbroken. In the cabin, Lyra held her children close. The ship rocked gently now, the alarms fading. Kale clutched her hand, and Myron yawned, finally able to relax. You saved us," Lyra whispered. Her voice was trembling with relief and awe. Elias's voice came over the intercom, calm and firm. "No one touches those under my protection. Not today, not ever." For Lyra, the words felt like a shield, stronger than any metal or weapon. These humans, feared across the galaxy, had risked everything for her small family. Later, after the battle, Elias walked the corridors with Lyra. The children ran ahead, laughing softly with Dr. Sarah and some of the younger crew. Lyra looked at the humans around her. Some bore scars, some wore tired faces, but all of them moved with purpose and focus. They fight, not just to survive," she whispered. "They fight to protect others." Elias nodded. "That is what makes us human. Strength is not only in weapons or power. It is in loyalty, in love, in keeping a promise. Family is everything." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. She thought of her mate, of the children she had almost lost, of the hope she had sent into the stars. And now she saw the answer before her. Humans were not monsters, as her people had feared. Humans were something more, terrifying in the best way, for anyone who would threaten those under their care. That night, the Resolute continued its course, leaving the Valari planet behind. The children slept in warm cabins, exhausted but safe. Lyra sat on the observation deck staring at the stars. She whispered softly, "I never believed anyone would hear me. I never believed someone would come." She looked at Elias, who stood quietly beside her. "You did," he said. "We did. You are not alone anymore." For the first time since the war, Lyra felt it: hope, safety, and trust. The galaxy was vast and full of danger, but humans had shown her something no other species had, that even in the darkest night, even when all seemed lost, they would fight with everything they had to protect those who could not defend themselves. The battle had ended. The scavenger fleet was gone, scattered into the darkness of space, leaving the Resolute unscathed. For Lyra, the quiet was almost frightening at first. She sat in the cabin with her children, Kale and Myron, who were finally sleeping peacefully. Their small chests rose and fell gently, free of hunger, free of fear. For now, Lyra's hands rested on her knees. She had survived. Her children had survived. And humans, strange, powerful, unpredictable humans, had kept their promise. Morning came slowly aboard the ship. The soft hum of engines replaced the shrieks of alarms, and the artificial sunlight glowed warmly across the corridors. Lyra stepped onto the observation deck, her silver hair catching the light. Captain Elias Ward was already there, staring at the stars. He turned when he saw her. "You slept?" he asked. "A little," she replied. "I could not help but watch the stars. They seem so much calmer now." He nodded. "Calm can be temporary, but safety can be permanent if you work for it." Lyra looked at him, searching his expression. "You risked so much for us. For my children." Elias shrugged, but there was no pride in it. "We do not abandon those who cannot protect themselves. Humans. We fight for family, even if it is new, even if it is strangers. Your children are our family now." The words sank deep into Lyra's heart. She had never expected to hear such a promise. No other species had ever offered this. Not Valari, not allies, not even the distant council that claimed to care. Tears rose in her eyes and she bowed her head. Thank you. I will never forget this. Elias smiled softly. Do not thank me yet. Family is about living, not remembering. You are still with us, that is enough. Over the next days, the humans worked tirelessly to help Lyra and the Valari children recover. Dr. Sarah examined Kyle and Miran, giving them nourishment, vitamins, and warm blankets. The children laughed for the first time in months, chasing each other through the corridors, climbing over human crew members as if they were mountains. Lyra watched them, her chest swelling with emotion. It was strange to see her children so carefree, yet she allowed herself to smile. She realized something profound. Humans had given her more than protection. They had given her hope. One afternoon, Lyra ventured into the ship's recreation room, a place full of soft mats, light panels, and simple toys. She found Elias sitting quietly, reviewing star charts. Do humans always do this? She asked. Do what? Fight, protect, care, even when it is dangerous, even when the other side outnumbers you. He looked at her, his eyes softening. Humans fight because we must, because we know the cost of not fighting, because we value life, even strangers' lives. And sometimes, we fight because love is worth more than fear. Lyra nodded slowly. She thought of the countless days she had wandered alone, of the ruins around her homeworld, of the silent screams of her children when there was nothing to eat. Now she understood. Humans were not just strong. They were frighteningly determined, unstoppable when they decided someone's life mattered. The days passed and a routine formed. The humans taught the Valari children simple games, showed them tools and shared stories of Earth. Kyle learned to read using a small device, while Myron preferred drawing strange patterns with bright colors. Lyra participated when she could, but she also watched. Every time a human smiled at her children, gave them a small gift, or shielded them from minor accidents aboard the ship, she felt a deep gratitude she could not put into words. One evening, the ship's dining hall was quiet. Elias invited Lyra to sit with him. You must be wondering. What comes next? He said. Lyra nodded. I have nowhere to go, Earth. It is far. And I have heard stories of humans being dangerous outside your ships. Why would you take us? Elias leaned back, eyes on the stars. Because some promises are bigger than fear. Because children who have lost everything deserve a chance. And because family can be chosen, not only born. Lyra's hands trembled. Can we really stay with you? He smiled, a faint curve of his lips. Yes. You and your children. Not just aboard this ship, but wherever humans can safely go. You will have homes, protection, education, safety, and a chance to rebuild what you lost. Her chest tightened. She had waited so long for a hope like this. She almost could not breathe. The Valari children learned quickly how to adapt. Kale was fascinated by the ship's engines, asking endless questions, while Miran laughed with the younger crew members, spinning and running through the corridors. Lyra watched them and whispered softly, They are happy, truly happy, and it is because of them. Because of these humans. At night, when the ship glided through the stars, Lyra would sit at the observation deck with Elias. Sometimes, no words were needed. Just the soft hum of engines, the quiet glow of distant stars, and the knowledge that they were no longer alone. And slowly, Lyra felt something she had not felt since the war began. Peace. But peace did not mean forgetting. The Valari world still lay in ruins below. The scavenger threat remained, scattered but not gone. And across the galaxy, whispers of human power were spreading. Yet Lyra realized she no longer feared the galaxy. Because humans, these humans, were not like others. They fought with purpose, protected the weak, and kept promises even when it was dangerous. Her children's laughter echoed in the corridors. She touched Kale's hair as he ran past, and Miran tugged at her hand, eager to show her a new drawing. For the first time in years, Lyra could imagine a future, a real future, not one built of fear and survival, but one built of trust, protection, and love. She whispered softly, tears in her eyes. Thank you, humans, for everything. For my children. For me. Elias, watching from the deck, only nodded. Weeks later, the Resolute reached a safe human colony, a world filled with green fields, fresh water, and welcoming humans. The children stepped onto the surface for the first time in months, laughing, as grass tickled their feet. Lyra walked behind them, her heart full. A human official greeted them warmly, providing a small home, education for the children, and a chance for Lyra to rest and learn their ways. She understood Earth customs slowly, but her children adapted faster, laughing and playing with other young humans. In that moment, Lyra realized something profound. Across the galaxy, humans were feared as Deathworlders, strong, dangerous, unpredictable. But she now knew another truth. Humans were also compassionate, loyal, and fiercely protective of those they cared for. She would tell the story someday, of how humans had come when no one else would, how they had fought not for glory, not for conquest, but for her small family. And in her heart she understood that she was no longer alone, not as long as humans stood beside her. Kale ran up to Elias holding a small drawing of a starship surrounded by the Valari children and humans. Captain, look, we are all together. Elias chuckled, taking the drawing carefully. Yes, Kale. Together. Always. Myron hugged Lyra tightly. Mama. I like this family. Lyra held them close, her chest full of love and gratitude. For the first time, she believed in the stars again, not just for their beauty, but for the kindness they could bring. The galaxy had turned its back on the Valari, but humans had not.